Something else that we use the time zones for is to automatically control the time that a door locks and unlocks. To do this, we have to actually assign a time zone to the locking device. This is done through Configuration, Device, Device Map. We'll expand the communication server and the communication loop until we get to our panel. Right mouse click on the panel and we'll click on Configure. If you remember, this is where we were when we added the time zones to the panel. This time though, we're going to go to the Outputs tab. Under the Outputs, you're going to see listed the different locks that you have in your system. There may be other things listed in here as well, such as sirens, but for what we're doing, we're only concerned with the locks. Now we had created a time zone for the front door, and that would be the lobby entry strike. What we're going to do is come down where it says time zone, use our drop down, and then we're going to scroll down to the front door time zone that we created for that. We're going to click on OK, and that has now attached that time zone to the panel. Something to keep in mind is that whenever we make changes in our programming, we do have to send these changes to the panel. We're making them just in the software right now, but we have to do something called initialize, and we'll get to that shortly. There are a few other things that I want to show you in the panel here. Most of the programming is already done, and you don't have to make any changes to it, except for time zones that you might add and putting the time on the outputs. But a couple of other things is going back to the outputs again, you have this pulse time. What the pulse time is for is how long the lock is going to stay unlocked with a valid card read. So for instance, when someone comes up to a door, they're going to present the card at the reader, and if it was this elevator door mag lock that the reader was attached to, then for 5 seconds that lock is going to be unlocked. Now this time is usually a relatively short period of time because people will go and open the door, so then it's fine for the lock to lock back up again so that when they close the door behind them, it will be locked. If this pulse time is too long of a period, you might have someone that uses their card, unlocks the door, walks through the door, it locks back up, they walk away, and the door is still unlocked. You don't want that to happen. This is why the pulse time is a relatively short period of time. On that same door, if we look at the inputs, you'll see that there's a contact that's on that door. The purpose of the contact is to be able to tell the system when the door is being held open. So again, going back to our example, somebody swipes their card at the door, the mag lock unlocks, and then this contact is going to register when they pull that door open. So associated with this contact, we have what's called a shunt time. The shunt time is a longer period of time, and what it does is it tells the contact not to go into alarm during that period of time. This is what allows the person the amount of time that they need after opening the door to actually get through the door and close it behind them. Because the time on your output, on your lock, is a short period of time, the door is going to lock up again behind them as soon as they close it, so that having a longer shunt time isn't going to compromise your system. But it does allow for people to be able to get through the door, and if they have packages or perhaps they're holding the door for somebody behind them, it allows them that time to go through without tripping an alarm in the system. If you have sirens attached to your system as well, then after that 30-second shunt time, if the door has not closed, that siren will sound. The inputs and outputs in your system are going to be pre-programmed by the technician who installs your system. Before making any changes to anything other than assigning a time zone or putting time zones in the panel, then I would highly recommend that you contact a service technician and discuss with him what it is that you are looking to do, because everything is connected to other pieces within the system, and any change that you make could affect something else that you don't realize. So you have an overview of what you have in your system and how it works, but don't make those changes without checking with a technician who is familiar with your programming. Once you are finished with your changes in your panel, we'll click OK, and then we can close out of our device map.